So welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Earth Navore Hub, and thanks so much for being here every week in our 5th year. And I think I want to keep saying that because I'm very proud of us rocking up every week doing this. I have to say, and I don't think we even missed not more than 5, if because even when I didn't do it, then Tanya kindly stepped up and she ran it. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about comfort zone. How to thrive. What is a comfort zone? How can we thrive in a comfort zone? What's the connection between comfort and choice and all those lovely things? And we're all so super comfortable. So I think we're all going to start with the question, what does comfort mean to you? And then we start from there, because I have a feeling it could mean something very different for many people. So what does comfort mean for you?
I can start off if I
Please
may.
do.
Yeah,
Please do.
for me, it's a state of mind, and it's something that I take with me wherever I go. So it's not particularly a destination with a specific name attached to it. So for me, it's a state of beingness, which helps to transform a particular zone, which is for me, you can lift the mood anytime you want. So you can show up whenever you feel necessary without having to put much of an effort. And simply because what I find the operating system is based on abundance rather than scarcity. So I'm not looking to gain anything in particularly. For me, I'm in that zone of being in joy, peacefulness, and the mood to play, and it's exciting when you kind of engage with other beings and to create this zone where we can all chill out. And yeah, so it's a state of beingness to
Mm-hmm. I love
be,
that.
yeah, and just to share. And I think that is the powerhouse, to be able to be in a position of feeling that no one's going to take anything from you, that you're going to end up losing anything. Because how can you if your operating system is abundance? Because the way I see it, the mug is full, it's not half full, and what's pouring out is what you're giving away. So being conscious of the fact that you have abundance around you and gives you joy to see people smile. Yeah, brilliant. That's what I feel it is.
No, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that. And I like that phrase of my operating system is geared towards abundance. I really like that because that makes a huge impact on how we look at comfort. Because I think the majority of people have probably their operating system geared of creating uh okay, what's the opposite of scarcity? What's the opposite of lack? What's the opposite of safety, that kind of thing, security, all of that. And this is why sometimes when you then reach the level of safety and security, all of a sudden you find yourself in that comfort zone. And then people, I think, sometimes forget that they can change the operating system from, you know, safety and lack, security, and all of that to abundance. And I think this is super, super important because from a focus perspective, because as soon as you can actually operate from a comfort zone, operating system abundance, there is no need to go back into lack or creating challenges or creating hardship or creating, what was the word? Or even search, the spiritual search, that need for figuring out, who am I? What does what does comfort mean to you? Just going to repeat the question and then you just chime in.
I think what you said, Martina, is really interesting. That space of not searching for who you are, right? Because there is a comfort zone in your own like knowingness of who you are and why you're here. What are you, here to do, right? On a spiritual level or multidimensional level. So I feel like after all that searching happens, I mean, for me, it's been like a lot of different aha moments because there's a depth and a breadth and a richness in that beingness of who we are as multidimensional beings that that it's like the more you know, the more you love about yourself and accept about yourself. I think it's like that knowingness is a comfort zone, right? It's like building and building and building. I don't know, an identity, but also like that truth of of who you are as a being of light in human body.
I mean,
There's something comforting about the knowingness there.
Yeah, because you say, building an identity, building that individuality. And that's what I use the word fortification of the I am avatar, right? We've been using that a lot to fortify. And then when I looked, actually, when I did my post, because this has been coming up for me to look at, to really, really become super, super, super happy in that comfort zone and really acknowledging and honoring and witnessing how far I have come in order to be able to say that. And the comfort, the COMFORT, it's actually there, the fort, from the fortification, the fortress. And then I looked at the first, at the COM. What is that fortress, that, fortification of my avatar that I have built? For what? What have I built that for? If that becomes my intimacy, my comfort zone, and then I need to step out of it. Why can't I operate, change the operating system? I love that phrase. Just change the operating system and maintain that intimacy, right? That intimate fortification of your avatar to create the COM, the conscious choices, the opportunities, and the magic.
And also then the coming into union, to come into union again, from this fortification of the I am, you actually, which I second everything that Barrett has said, and also Tanya, especially Barrett on the it's a state of it's a state of mind. And I always sometimes when people ask me to do like a mini biopsy, I also say that I usually feel comfortable where I just sit down, in a sense, right? Because when you're comforted and when you are, as you said, fortified in your I am, in yourself, and you have an intimate relationship with yourself, so you are also then in alignment with yourself, right? And that allows you then again to come into union with the others, because you come from a fortified point of view. I mean, if you chose to be an eremit and somebody just sitting on the top of the mountain and meditate for the rest of your life, good for you, happy for you. I don't think that you're going to be there a long time on your own. But because then you need to open up yourself again to anything that is around you, right? But from a fortified point of view, as you mentioned, that it becomes much easier because you're grounded in your, and I love to call it Buddha nature, although it has not this Buddhistic notion to it, but there's more this comfortable, this sensation of grounded comfort.
Absolutely. That and that state of beingness that Barrett, that unified, fortified state of beingness. And you can call that your comfort zone, and you're taking that comfort zone with you.
With you everywhere
So
you go.
like Sandrine, you know, like you say, you can use it up in the mountains, you know, but you can also take it right down into the valley and into the jungle and into the war zone and everything. How do you feel, Annemette? What is comfort zone for you?
I don't feel I have one. Only when I'm in nature, and that has been my thing since a childhood. I never felt comfortable in my own skin. I'm working on it. And today I was outside and it's finally a little warm. So I went on a hike. And when I sit and I just am with nature, I'm in my comfort zone. And as soon as I get home into a house, it's gone. So it's really weird. So I don't know what I have to understand through that. But for me, listening to you is like eye-opening, because I have never discussed with anybody what is a comfort zone. And I sometimes feel all these people that say you have to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, but what if you just expand from the inside? You don't need to get out of it. Why would you get out of it, kind of? I mean, you change your programming, and if that's getting out of the comfort zone, I was very much out of my comfort zone by coming here in this gîte in France, where I hadn't even seen it. It was very beautiful on the photo, but today when I came home and I opened the door, I still don't like the smell, and I still don't like these big walls, and it's not me. It's really not me. It's like, oh, okay, I'm parked here, but my comfort zone, I only find it when I'm in nature. And it's not too cold.
I guess, I mean, how we are approaching comfort is that because, as Martina also mentioned quite a few times before, there's some work that we have done already, you know, to get to the point where we are currently. And I guess also, you know, in the main, okay, it's pejorative, I don't want to be, but in the mainstream, you know, if you want to talk like that, discomfort is really the comfort that is being advertised all the time, you know, that you need to have the securities and that you have to have XYZ and that you have to have that sofa and this and that. So to be comfortable, right? But comfort and comfortability, again, is something different. I can be absolutely comfortable in the middle of nowhere in Southeast Asia in the mountains and have no electricity. For sure, it will just bother me because I won't have internet. But I can still be comfortable, right? I mean, I'm healthy and I'm alive, and that it's always coming back to the words, the use of the words. You know, how what is it that we mean by when we're talking about that?
For me, comfort is that I really resonated with what Tanya says, like to know who I am, but I don't feel like I really know who I am. And I once went to an astrology, she said, your theme is like, who am I? I'm like, oh, fine. It's like, I can relate to some aspects of me, but I never found that I was this inner line where I can feel Tanya. She's very much like, and also you're all like, in Danish, you say that you rest in yourself. That's an expression. And I only rest in myself out in nature, and I can't explain why out there I'm totally fine, but not in houses. So I don't know. I can lay on the grass. I laid on the grass yesterday. I feel totally secure. I feel totally great. I go inside, it's gone.
Would you say this is every house, or is this experiencing what you just did? Because it sounds to me like you are in a place that has a lot of energetic demands on you.
Yeah, I actually have one. I actually messaged a friend today I shared what I just experienced when I got home from my hike. And I actually said to her that in her house, I felt good.
Yeah. So you see, the thing is, because you called yourself quite psychic and you have the scanning ability, I think I remember you said
Yeah.
scanner. So, you know, wherever you go, you're scanning your environment. And of course, nature is much more expansive, you know, because there's more space and there is no, you know, solidification of energies. But then you go into an old house where you are. I mean, nobody's been there for quite some time, probably, which is, you know, a perfect opportunity for all sorts of energies to gather, wait for the one coming through the door to help me, free me, send me to the light. I need
Yeah,
to contribute.
perhaps. But it's also the materials. It's very bombastic, like boom. It's all the opposite of me. But I fell in love with the pictures because it's really nice, the view in the garden, like the materials are noble. But I don't know what I thought about. But anyways. But comfort to me is also like having warmth equals comfort for me. If it's cold, I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
So
Barrett, you wanted to add something, right?
Well, it's also just to generalize. I think if you are in a state of beingness where you're thriving rather than surviving, you don't have a particular need for anything. So it's because you are in that full-on creativeness that for me, it's not a case of I'll switch on, switch off. It's constant. It's a constant current because the relationship I'm having with the real intrinsic value is not gold, silver, or any other matter other than the real intrinsic value, which is energy. So if the energy is at a certain peak, it becomes the gift to others, and it just automatically lifts. If it's humans, the morale. And you'll see the feedback immediately because they'll just light up like a Christmas tree. And it just puts them in that position of feeling in that awe and ecstasy of, like Martina was saying, in that beautiful zone of the I am, that I am. You don't need validation, you don't need approval, you don't need someone to say, yes, that's brilliant, because it's all coming through you. So and then it affects plants as well. I've noticed, in insects and all sorts of things, and animals. And so for me, with regards to what you were saying about nature, it's like I feel it's around me all the time. I don't feel separated reference to nature. It's part of me. It's part of who I am. It's part of my makeup. All I'm doing is I'm in joy with it 24/7. But that's my how I see it, and that's what I'm sharing with all of us. And it's a thrill to be who I am. You have to be excited. You have to be comfortable in what you see in yourself. And
Yeah, go.
no,
I also want to, one thing that, especially for those people who have a huge capacity of psychic, ability and are quite comfortable using the word from a soul perspective, right? But then there can be a discomfort when it comes to being embodied. And that makes, there's an imbalance. And that sometimes we need to look at that because, are you not in your comfort zone when it comes to the body, or you're not in your comfort zone when you are actually relating to your soul? And that's just an awareness journey, because we normally don't ask the question, is my operating system coming from a soul's perspective, or is it coming from a body perspective? Because from a body perspective, comfort is much physical comfort, like a safe place to stay where you feel comfortable, where you're not invaded by God knows what energies, where you're surrounded by certain people, or where you're on your own because that's your comfort zone. It's almost a responsibility of us to create a comfort zone for the body. And I think when you think back in the hunter-gatherer times, you know, and we've all been there, we've all been Neanderthals and this and that, we had to move, right? Because the food was running out, or there was no, you know, something happened with all those cataclysms and stuff like that. So we had to move. We had to get out of our comfort zone, right? Into finding a new comfort zone where there was food, where there was warmth, as you say, where there was a place where we could feel safe from the animals and from other people wanting to do us harm. And this is the difference now. It's when we talk about comfort zone now, it's no longer, oh, having to find that safe place and that security, needing to get out of it again, because we don't need to get out of it again. We're not living in those hunter-gatherer times anymore. Nobody's going to chase us out. And I'm obviously not talking for the entirety of what's going on this world. I'm talking about people who have chosen to be here on their awakening journey, on their personal growth, sovereignty, self-mastery journey. Hello, Mary.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
You okay? We
I
asked.
just have to, it's because I said Hullo.
Oh,
I can't say it again, so they'll stop in a second. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm only after joining you, but the conversation is quite interesting. And I'm with what you were saying, Anne Marie, about loving nature and feeling very much centered and in your comfort zone in nature. I would feel that too. But I was thinking about it as you were talking, because you said a few times when I came in, it was gone. You said that quite a few times. And I thought, I wonder why I don't feel that, because when I come in, it's not gone. And I still feel I'm in nature, even though I'm inside in the house. But I think we have a term here, and I suppose you're probably aware of it too, architectures. You know, architects say bring the outside in when they're designing, buildings. And I actually think there's an awful lot of wisdom in that, because I think I do bring the outside in. And I think that I have a lot of colors in the house that reflect the sky and reflect nature and the colors that I'm living in that are outside of me. And I didn't plan it like that, but I think I did that. Now, it wasn't that I absolutely had to do it so that I'd feel I was in nature inside, because I don't feel the cutoff at all. I feel like I'm in a little bubble, just sort of in the middle of nature somehow, nurtured around by nature. And I'm just wondering, I think what you feel is fine. And I mean, it's not that I think that there's anything wrong with what you feel, but I'm just wondering if there's any way you could sort of marry the two, just so that you didn't feel that cut off feeling. It might help you a bit if you could. Maybe even plants or something like that might make you feel, that you were a little bit more in nature. Because
It's
I
not
know what you
about,
mean.
for me, it's not about bringing nature in, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants since
Okay,
I came here. I brought 2 with me from home, but I have
right.
planted a lot of things, but it's more about, before in my old house, it was the neighbor, because I felt safe, but not with her next wall, because he was very violent. But I felt good in that. I really had vortices. I was so creative. It was really a good place that I had built up. Here, it's not the same, but still, since a child, I never felt safe in houses. I think, like Martina says, it's about the energies.
I'd say it is, and the fact that you're so psychic, you're probably picking up all sorts of energies. And I suppose the whole thing about comfort zone, when I heard you talking, I was wondering, well, what is it for me? And I suppose for me, it's someplace within. It's not outside of me. So it is within. So when I go out and when I come in, I still have that place. You know, it doesn't change whether I'm inside or outside, or where I'm going, or who I'm with. And the term about, you know, which is really interesting, come out of your comfort zone. You know, I suppose the part of me that would say, why? Why should I? You know, but there is that part, I suppose, of come out of your comfort zone where I could expand it out and test a boundary. But it's more about, for me, I'll decide, well, do I want that in my comfort zone rather than do I want to go out there to meet that? It's kind of more about what I choose to bring into it rather than going out of it, to be honest. It's the direct opposite now that I hear myself talking about it. It isn't about me going out of it at all, actually. It's about what I'm choosing to bring in. And in the choosing to bring something in, I have to expand a bit further out. And that's a complete choice. And I can choose at any time whether I want to go further out or I don't or whatever. And I think, you know, that I do that from time to time. And then there are times I'm just nicely happy within whatever it is I'm within, you know.
I love that. I love that. And
Yeah, me
that
too.
also resonates with me as well. And it was interesting when I wrote that that post, I looked for some of those Instagram what you call them, you know, the hashtags, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were over 50 million hashtags about stepping out of your comfort zone. Over 50 million. And then when I looked for stepping into your comfort zone, less than 100.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, I'm loving that. We need to
Yeah,
reframe that.
yeah,
Amazing.
I mean, I
Mm.
think that, you know, like thinking about what is comfort zone and what is not, like you can get stuck in a routine, regular, you know, you going to work, going for a walk, coming home, making your breakfast. Like there's a, you know, there can be an energetic rigidity to a routine like that you might perceive as being a comfort zone. But there's an when there's an unpredictability where something new is like thrown in, you know, the proverbial monkey wrench, it can shake you out of what your perceived routine is, but maybe that's not necessarily a comfort zone in a good way, because it becomes this energetic predictability that, you know, will sustain you in a way, but then doesn't create extraordinary results because you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Right? I think about, you know, especially a lot of, you know, people who are doing like a 9 to 5 work. And I remember working in tech, you know, and going to work and doing the work and, you know, doing something specific for lunch and then doing more work and then coming home. And then, you know, it was just like an exact blueprint 5 days a week. And I was so bored with that shit that, you know, I mean, obviously I wasn't meant to be doing that for long term, but I think that now I look at what like my routine looks like and it's totally different every day. Right. I mean, there's some similarities, but does that make it, I don't know, comfortable? I don't know. It just makes it me, I guess.
Well, and this, you're exactly proving the point that we're trying to make, you know, or trying to invite people to look at, to get out of the structural sort of tension about that, or judgment when people say, oh, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Now, frankly, you know, you got out of that 9 to 5 job because it wasn't comfortable.
It wasn't my comfort zone. It was the global narrative's comfort zone applied to me.
You're so much more in your comfort zone now by doing whatever the hell you want to do, you know, and make a choice based on whatever works for you, whatever is a true contribution to you, you know. But I also do think that I can appreciate the comfort zone from the old definition, because again, leading it back to the body, making the body feel comfortable. The body has to be in a space where it feels comfortable so that we can then start making choices, conscious choices from a comfort zone that creates far, far, far beyond whatever has been the definition of comfort zone. Because I'm almost wanting to ask the question here, can you actually make a conscious choice from a place where you're not comfortable?
No.
I think, to me, you know, we're talking a lot about like the spaces that we're in, the space that Annamette's in, like being within that, there's not a comfort zone for her. Mary's space, there's a comfort zone for her. My space, there's a comfort zone for me, right? I think that like one of the most comfortable places right now is my bed. I've got flannel sheets, I've got a nice fluffy like bed pad under the sheets, and it's just like cozy and warm and wonderful. But I think about like when someone's building a house, right? Mary was talking about this intention of architects of bringing the outside in. But there's lots of houses where, you know, they just went up because the builder wanted to make money. Right. And so there's an intentionality there behind the construction of whatever, you know, thing you're living in, whether it's a condo or apartment or single family home or cabin in the woods. It doesn't matter, but the intentionality of the builder and the architect hold a lot of energy. From my perspective, their energy can be cleared out and you can reset your own energetic frequency into the space that you're in to make it more comfortable. Like I look at the Fieldstones wall behind Annamette, and to me, what a gift those stones are, because they're plucked exactly from, you know, the cliffs and the riverbeds, and, you know, resonate with an energetic nature that, you know, you can lean back on, right? It can go all the way up your spine, right? So connecting to your house in that way might help you bring that outside in a way that you hadn't thought of before. But you know, I mean, for me, I have my house gridded out with like big Arkansas quartz crystals on each of the foundation points, right? And then of course I have like lots of lots of crystals within the space that are holding an energetic protective grid around the space. You know, I do a lot of like home and energy clearings for people in their spaces and helping them be more intentional about what energy they're bringing into their space, right? So, you know, all of us have come from this place of, you know, being a healer or being like wise about energy. You know, we've all worked with people's energy fields or different ways. And to me, like the space isn't different from the human energy field in a way.
Yeah.
Right? You're flowing with the energy of Gaia. You're grounding in a certain space-time continuum wherever that house is planted. So I wonder if it would be helpful for any of us, you know, to just circumnavigate, walk around outside, set some intentions on the corner of, you know, your foundation, on the corner of your spaces. Call in, you know, the directions and call in the energy of Mother Earth to, you know, help shift what doesn't feel comfortable, to make it resonate more with your, you know, vibrational frequency. You know, we have the power. We have the power to do that, right? With our words
Yeah.
and with our intention. And so each moment when there's an awareness of that powerfulness of beingness that we are and the intentions that flow out from our center, you know, we have the ability to transform or transmute a space that doesn't feel comfortable into one that does. Yeah, and maybe it's just getting a shitload of pillows, you know, throwing them on your couch and then being able to, you know, cuddle up. You know, maybe it's bringing in an animal, right, who changes the energetic of the space. Like cats and dogs are so good at holding space for us and healing.
So you just reminded me of something. So as I have been around the globe due to my work and been moving houses and, you know, a lot, what I did, I came to learn about that is that I always had a few things with me that give me personal comfort, you know, like a mug, like my coffee maker, something like that, right? Just so you ground it in something that you love to do. And then what I did is that I went to the market or to the supermarket or the little shop, corner shop next door, whatever. It depends on where I was at that moment. And I always try to find something from that place that everybody else had in the house, you know, something, it's something very special to, or something very mundane to that place and that everybody has, be it like a little plastic container to swap water down your toilet, something like that, when you, especially in Southeast Asia. And then I also try to find something very, very kitschy, something that is like, you know, one of the porcelain, what have you not, or, you know, something very, very colorful and very kitschy. Well, that's me, okay? And then and it's both, anyways, Martina knows that as well, because she's always on the hunt when she goes through thrifting. Things speak to you, right? And I will always find something, and I always find it that it's, you know, it's funny. But as soon as I had it then in the house that I didn't know yet, and I still had to get comfortable in, right? It just gives something, it was something from there, something from me, and something new in a sense, right? Something old, something blue, and that, so that I could marry the house literally, right? I brought something in, then we brought something new in, and then we were just looking where we were going with that. And I found, and I did just the same when I came back home to this house. I actually just had to recreate one room with new and old things, right? And this is the one where I'm currently sitting in, and it feels so good. And yeah, well, that's me, you know, that's how I created the comfort for me. And especially when you are in a foreign place, I find that for me, that really worked well every time that I did it.
It reminds me of, sorry, Anna-Mette. I was just going to say, it reminds me of that scene from Under the Tuscan Sun where she buys that villa and it's a total trash mess. And she says, just take one room and make it your own. Right? And she creates her nice little office, and that's where she's comfortable to then do the rest of her renovation on her crazy house. Sorry, go ahead, Anna-Mette. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I have brought things that I really like from home, some drawings from my daughter, my wool plate, things like that. But I think I got, while Tanya was talking, why it's so difficult here, because I feel like I'm up against a bastillion or something. I don't know how it's called in
battalion.
What?
A battalion?
Yeah, that's how it feels when I tune into it. It's like this huge army that I'm up against. It's really weird. But I feel better upstairs where my bed is, because it's also very cold down here. But I think I'll have to go really talking thunder to some energies, like
to the cold stones.
Because what Tanya has done with her house, I did that in the previous place, but I never seemed like I feel like it's not that I'm ejected, but as if I can't just fall in. It's just like, I don't know, it's really weird. But I think
Probably
I
because
have
there's so
to,
much trauma on the land where you live.
yeah, and then all these old objects like that are not mine, like I don't know how many, I think there were 14 mirrors in the house. I have taken down some of them, like they drove me nuts, like really?
So let me ask a question for the team here. So what stops us? Because usually when we choose to stay outside the comfort zone, you know, all these permission slips that you guys were mentioning are super, super powerful and great. And then, of course, there's the question, what is the particular or the more than just one reasons or purposes that we keep choosing to stay outside the comfort zone? What stops us from stepping into the comfort zone?
Yeah, maybe.
Hmm?
Maybe fear, I don't know. See, for me personally, it's not where you live, it's how you live, and it's how you connect with your surroundings. With Anna Meta, I mean, I take it you were in your comfort zone when you came to having a connection with this current new place that you moved into. Was there anything that you didn't like when you first had a connection with, and what's changed? What I'm saying in not so many words, you moved from point A and you moved to point B. When you got to point B, you must have seen something that aroused you to say, hey, come in. I mean, you talk about mirrors, you talk about certain things. I mean, it's relatively superficial, but when you get into the nitty-gritty, when you get into the core, what made you want to come to this particular zone? What triggered you? What invitation drew you to this new place? That's the question.
It was beautiful. It was really novel materials, and it was really beautiful with the view in the garden. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, you see, and this is where choice comes in, because sometimes, you know, we make a choice and say, okay, cool, this looks amazing, and then once we arrive and put our step over the during the door, all of a sudden we recognize very quickly, well, that's actually not exactly what I thought that I was choosing. So what else can I choose?
Yeah.
So I've got to ask the question is, there must be a purpose why you keep choosing to stay outside the comfort zone, because you're literally choosing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we don't have to, I don't want to put you on the spot here, do any of that, but that's a question to ask yourself. It's, for what purpose am I choosing to stay outside the comfort zone? And I can only say something from my own experience, because I used to choose that because I had to put on my rebel gear in order to survive. So for me, it was a survival instinct to become a rebel and stay out of my comfort zone all the time. All the time, because as soon as I felt comfortable, I heard that voice coming in. Oh, you lazy bitch, why are you not doing this or this or this or this or this or that? Because for me, the comfort zone was a no-go zone. It didn't make me good enough. It made me lazy. It made me, you're not choosing a challenge, because it's the challenge that what gets you somewhere. And I did buy into this.
I was just going to say, for me, it's like new experiences, you know, getting new experiences, be them good, be them bad, you know. So finding then the comfort again. I mean, good and bad. What is good and bad? Okay, we don't we don't judge, but just say, you know, it's like for me, getting out of my comfort zone is the new experience. How am I faring in that new environment? How am I going to try to thrive in that new environment? How am I going? My thing is always, how am I going to make it work for myself? to come back into the comfort, right, Mary? So
yeah, I think I resonate totally with what you're saying, Sandrine. And it is about that, about choices and excitement, the excitement of the new experience and not knowing what it's going to be like, but the excitement of having to make that into a place that is okay. And I was thinking too, as you were talking, you know, if we think about each of us, how we managed different situations in our lives where we were really out of our comfort zone, and out of it, I can think of a few for quite a long time, and how we survived in that, and why did we stay? Because my friends used to say, "Oh, Mary, you know, leave. You just need to leave that, get out of that." But I couldn't and wouldn't. And it was interesting that I couldn't and wouldn't. And I think that I was trying to make my comfort zone there. I was trying to create it for myself there. And I just wouldn't stop until I did. And even though it was really hard, but I also think, you see, that I carry the comfort zone inside of me. I'm never out of my own comfort zone. There is something within me that I carry inside of me, no matter where I am. And that sustains me when I'm in a place where I feel this is really challenging. This is really hard. I'm a bit out of my depth here. You know, and I do start thinking, God, other people would just leave this. And I start telling myself things like that, but yet I don't. And it's the rebel, it's the stubborn side, it's all of that. But it's also the excitement of creating something new for me in that place. And there's a kind of a sense of a small achievement in that, I suppose.
Yeah, there's a proving one's worthiness, one's potential in this, and that is good until you know that you are worthy and you know your potential, and then you got to ask yourself the question: do I still need to be right, prove to myself that I can, or do I want to be completely free?
Yeah. But I think it's a process. I think that we need to go through that process, because I was thinking that when you were talking about different places, even where I worked, and we've talked a lot about the physicality of the comfort zone, and the physicality of where I worked was really beautiful, but it was an awful place energetically. And I thought, yeah, gosh, there's different levels of comfort zone. It's not just about, you know, having the place looking nice and comfortable and reflecting something about ourselves. And it's a bit of what Anna Metti is talking about in her place. It's about the energetics of the place that weren't okay. And maybe the energetics of the dynamics of people I shared the space with was really hard, you know, and that's a different level of comfort zone. But again, it was the process of staying with that and working that out, or knowing when to go as well, is also equally as important.
Jen, hi Jen.
For me.
Absolutely.
Hi,
We have
Jen.
a question for you. What does comfort mean to you?
What does comfort mean to me? Comfort, I can answer that in lots of different ways. On the cusp of it, it's safety, right? But then also like a soft blanket, stretchy pants, bare feet, sunshine, like the comforts of life, things that once you go out into the world and then you come back, that you surround yourself back with comfort because they make you feel soft and warm and safe again. I like what Mary said, because I've thought about that too in my travels, that like my comfort zone is always with me because my comfort zone is me. Anywhere can be my home. Like I adapt really, really quickly, even in foreign countries. Home is always around me because I am home to myself. But to stretch myself, like when we talk about comfort zones, like I'm very comfortable being quiet and within, and very introspective. And when I express myself, I'll usually do it in artwork in some way, or in a symbol, or in a abstract means, because that's just how it's comfortable for me. to express myself. And growth comes from pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, right? And so teaching classes, being very vulnerable and open in things that I'm learning in a public context, like posting it on Facebook, or having a conversation with a group of people at work, and being able to give them a perspective of me. I live in two very different worlds. I'm a civil engineer doing highway construction as my day job, and then I'm an energy worker and artist and all these other things on the other side. And I used to be very comfortable keeping those worlds very separate, but now I've really merged those worlds together. And so talking to people at work about what I do on the other side of my life has become more important. And that had to push me out of my comfort zone, because I think it's important for them to hear those things that they don't know about, that are available in the world, like Reiki and magic and other beings and ETs and stuff like that. So I consistently push myself out of my comfort zone. That's why, like, your comfort of I really spoke to me this week, because I did this butterfly painting that I was pushed to do, because it's really about transformation and coming out the other side of the shadows that we've been in. And so you have the discomfort of transformation balanced with like that comfort of I. And that just felt like perfect to me, because it's a cyclical process, right? You stretch yourself out a little bit and then you settle, and that can become your new norm of comfort. And then you stretch yourself out a little bit more, and that becomes your new norm of comfort. That's how it's been for me.
So you are using the that example. I like that example. It's similar to what Tanya was saying. Is you're taking the one life, the work life, and you are combining it with the joy and the hobby, or that other side, the masculine and the feminine. Let's put it like that, in a way. And you say you are stepping out of your comfort zone in order to do that. Now, I want to challenge that slightly, just for you to think of. The reason that you're doing it is a necessity, because it is probably you stepping into who you truly be, that mediator between all these different worlds. So as you do it, do you still think that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, or do you actually start stepping into your comfort zone, because you can now start to freely express the entirety, the totality of who you truly be, instead of just showing them the engineer?
That's a fair question. And I think the answer is both, because I have to keep taking these steps. And I've been in this constant state of change now for 3 years, where as soon as something levels out, and yes, I am getting to the point where I can fully express myself authentically in a very open and balanced way, and everything just orbits around that. But the process of getting there, it can be a very uncomfortable, iterative process of change and adaptation, and being more and more vulnerable, and being comfortable with being more and more vulnerable. But I think when you get to that point where you are just your full authentic expression, and you genuinely don't give a shit anymore what anybody else thinks or feels about it, you just express yourself as you, that surely will be the most comfortable feeling in the world, because all you have to do is just be, right?
Right.
So yes.
So this is the whole idea of the reframing of the comfort zone. For people who haven't looked at it and still think, oh, I can't step out of my comfort zone, to realize that actually you are stepping into your true potential. And like Barrett in the beginning, he used that lovely expression of, he changed the operating system from scarcity to abundance. So Barrett, yes.
I was going to say, if I may, for me, I get excited if I go, let's say, to a place I've never been before. Let's call that uncharted territory, because I'm going to be tested in the most divine way. And for me, it's gratifying to know that sometimes what is it that we're using to, and what is it that we want to create. It's nice to know before the event. So I'm talking about imagination. I'm talking about visualization. It's called negotiation. Before your day begins, when you open your eyes, what is it that you want to create? And I feel that it has to begin with yourself, that inner knowing, and how you want to burst this aliveness and affect every organism that comes in contact. So I think visualization is key. And the numbers that are here present today, I find that you guys are so artistic in so many ways, and especially Anna Marie as well. I mean, I've seen your work, and I keep encouraging you. You're an amazing being of light. You don't need my approval, but I'm giving you that biofeedback. But with Martina, what I find with you, we're all rebels, but they have a particular cause, and others, they're still searching for what that cause is. But it's not a right or a wrong. It's just a level of consciousness. So you just have to allow yourself that space to grow. And it's exciting to be, yeah. So
yeah, no, and because you mentioned the rebel, I mentioned the rebel in the beginning because the rebel was a safety blanket for me. Because I had misidentified the comfort zone. Okay? Because the comfort zone for me was indoctrinated with the definition of you're being lazy, you're not moving on, and all of that. And that would have been completely against what I'm here for. But that was an indoctrination, a conditioning from my upbringing. So this is why I had to bring the rebel in, one of my soul shards, the rebel. Now, there came a time where I realized the rebel was no longer helping me to get into the comfort zone because I realized, okay, my body needs to be comfortable. If I really want to get further on my mission and with my purpose, then I have to be comfortable. I have to create a comfort zone for my body, so that I can do that, I can allow myself that spiritual journeying that I did. So I had to tame my rebel. And I just reframed him. He's no longer a rebel now because he's working with me. He's a trickster. He's a joker. He's making it, he's the humorous part that keeps coming out to assist me when there is a dense energy or something. But it's no longer the rebel as such, because I used to do silly things with my rebel that were working against myself, where I literally put myself into harmful positions and places. And for some reason, I had to prove to myself that I could do it. And I no longer have to do it now. I can now make choices. Just one more thing, Barrett. The one thing I didn't really choose, I just reacted from an operating system that used to tell me, you have to prove to yourself that you're good or you have value, or whatever that was at the time.
Yep.
Once that was cleared over time, there was no longer need for that. And the comfort zone opened up. And as you say, Barrett, it was and everyone else is saying here, it's that home within, that beingness that you take with you wherever you go.
And even to the point that when you need to tell it to yourself, just stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself, I am capable. I can do that, to yourself. Give that biofeedback, like Barrett also said, But if you have nobody around you doing that, then do it to yourself. It helped me a lot. And I recognize myself in the same journey as you with the rebel, and now turning it into my views.
And so I think we said that last time, the level of resistance, or the level of you having to prove to yourself and others, is always equal to the level of your potential.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in situations that are huge. Other ones wouldn't even get close to that because of your potential that you haven't acknowledged yet.
Mm.
So a good question to ask is, what awareness do I have about my true potentiality that I haven't acknowledged yet? And then just run that question until the awareness kicks in, and all of a sudden you can either step into it, or you say, okay, fuck this, I'm out of here. I don't need to prove this to myself anymore. So does the comfort allow you to express yourself freely? Or does it hinder your free expression?
Both. I think comfort sometimes can come with complacency. When you get too comfortable, like you don't stretch and you don't grow. For me, when I get really comfortable, I just withdraw and retreat within, because that's where I'm most comfortable, is within.
So, okay, this is very sorry to pop in there right now, because this is part of what my little struggle has been with comfort too. Complacency, and then all the judgment comes in, what are you doing? You should be doing this, you should be doing that. And why are you, I don't use the word lazy necessarily, but why are you so comfortable with all of this? Let me just finish my one thought I forget it. Now, there is a rejection of the comfort. And then what if that rejection is actually a redirection? And that's what I started to look at. Why am I rejecting myself being comfortable? Or is this a redirection? Because I don't want to go back into distraction. I don't want to make choices that are actually no longer really working for me. And I'm not entirely sure yet what's the new stuff that is coming in. There is a redirection, and I'm being asked to just be still. And for us compulsive creators, that pretty much every single one up here it's like, whoa, what's going on? I'm too comfortable. What if that is the lie that we have been buying?
Even within that distraction where you're getting pulled aside, I think there's valuable lessons there as well. But the key for me, if I may share what works for me, I mean, it might not entirely work for someone else, is not having the need to compete. I don't compete with anybody in any shape or form. But for some people, it might be a bit of a hindrance because they feel that some people like to compete. They think that it's healthy to compete. It gives them that ability or that additional cutting edge, which they're not having with themselves, that they need to look over their shoulders and see what the Joneses are doing, in terms of what, and then do you have to keep up with them? For me, it doesn't excite me. But I get it if it excites anyone else, and it's not for me to say that's right, this is wrong, as long as you're not compromising your comfort zone. That's the way I see it.
So you are really saying that you are super happy by choosing from your comfort zone.
It does disturb people. I must be honest.
I'm not surprised at all.
And it doesn't annoy me. Even
Surprised at all.
recently, I went to a funeral. I went to Katrina's mother's funeral, and people were so depressed. It was beyond. I mean, it was like, and I want to be happy. I want to play music, man. I want to get groovy with the situation. It's a celebration. And it's like, I don't want it to be morbid, and I can see it's like people are just like getting into that zone of discomfort. And it's a level of conditionality. It's a form of indoctrination. And it really does annoy me in the most beautiful way. And I didn't want to disturb the peace. In fact, I did disturb the peace.
course you would.
I started smiling. I started laughing.
Thing.
And that disturbed. And I didn't use a language. I didn't start. I don't speak German, which is disturbing for Katrina sometimes. It's inexcusable. I've been with her 29 years and still not learning. But you see, I do the basics really well. And the thing is, people, even the youngsters, I still consider myself young for some reason. I mean, I'm 57. I feel like a 20-year-old. But I was with the youngsters, and the youngsters came up and said, "What are you on?" Because they think that I'm taking drugs, you know. But if you like being who you are, that could disturb the peace, because they'll come up and say, "Listen, you're not meant to be like this. You're meant to be looking a bit more morbid and sad and look."
Hope you didn't have your yellow T-shirt on. That would have been.
It's lime, actually.
Yeah,
It was lime.
play with these words all day, right? Like in that situation, I think people are more comfortable being depressed at a funeral because
Yeah.
that's what's expected of them
Yes.
than they are
Absolutely.
expressing
Well
joy.
said.
You know?
Because yeah, absolutely, yeah, I agree. And you can disturb, you can crack the zone by behaving in a certain way, and you know, and I don't like to gain attention either. So I'm trying to I'm being as empathetic as possible.
So next time when you want to have somebody smiling at the funeral, please invite Barrett and myself.
I'll do more than
because
that.
I'm that as well, and
Oh, me too.
I can even sing, you know, when nobody knows
get
how
me
to
going,
sing
mate.
or whatever, then I can sing a song. It can
Oh,
be
let's
a
all be
carol,
sing
it's
song.
not a problem. It can be a church
Yeah.
song. I am very good at that, and I'm not afraid. And yeah, no, I get that. I was very lucky also at the funeral of my aunt in November that my mom is just a little bit the same. She's still she's not into the depression. She's in feeling the grief and the grieving and the crying, right? But then she was like, "Oh, your cousin has nobody to actually sing in the church because they cannot, you know, there is nobody who can sing." And I'm like, "Okay, then we just sing, you know, you and me." And she's like, "Okay, so we do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I haven't sung for like over 20 years in a church, but it doesn't matter. You know? It was wonderful.
Fantastic.
I think we all need the New Orleans concept of the second line.
Yeah.
Where you have your grieving and then you
Yeah.
like
You
let
just-
it rip. You party down.
Yeah.
And dun 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 dun.
We'll get there. Well,
The
he's already
Irish
warming
way.
up. We'll get there.
He's ready. He's already
Don't
there.
leave. Don't leave.
He's already there.
We will
Already.
put
I
him
was just going to
in-
say the Irish wakes, folks. You'll have to come to an Irish wake.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We have a whole catharsis of feeling. It goes from crying and wailing to laughing and dancing and singing and playing,
Oh, that's
back to
great.
crying and wailing.
Fantastic. That's the best way of doing it, I think. Amazing.
Yeah.
Equally connected to the time involved in the shots of whiskey that are consumed, I think.
Yes, exactly.
And that's
They help too.
creating the 0 point energy, you know? Don't even know it.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and it's really great for the people that are grieving, because it definitely gets all of the emotions out.
Yes.
You know, not just the sad ones. It gets out the happy ones and the laughter and the lovely memories, and it's just it's an interesting one because it's a really old tradition here. But it's just when Barrett was talking about the smiling, there's certainly that too. Yeah.
At the Cape Verdean funeral, you can actually hire wailing ladies that are wailing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's okay. Those funerals are harsh because you actually also start wailing at one time, you know, because it's really but I understood the concept because you can just let it out, you know, the whole thing. You just scream it out and you cry it out. And then you go for cachupa and grog. Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And it's done.
Yeah, done.
So what this is actually a nice opportunity here to introduce the word or the energy of taking a risk? Can we take risks from a comfort zone? And what does even taking a risk mean? Because I looked up the word risk, and from a European context, before the 19th century, there was no negative connotation to taking a risk. It was a neutral energy.
I think
Go
the
on.
greater the risk, you can see it this way, the greater the risk, the greater is your reward. So if you're going to be very sort of taking baby steps, which I'm not condemning one or the other, by the way, I'm not judging you should or you shouldn't, but the greater the risk, the greater you will get in terms of a return, and whatever that may be, whatever turns you on or turns you off. But this is what I'm saying. So some people are afraid to take risks. So you can make an assessment. You, again, coming back to visualization, it can be win-win for all parties, whatever it is you're exchanging, whether it's commodities or energy or laughter, and or creating a new benchmark, if you know, and help raising the frequency for all that come in contact. For me, when I'm doing an assessment of risk, some people used to say, "You're not much of a risk taker, are you, Barrett?" And I said, "Well, why do I need to take a risk? What is it? What am I going to lose?" So you have to define, you have to question what you have against what you might lose. But for me, it's about tolerance, and not necessarily getting, I mean, for some, it's like not getting contaminated, because some people think, you know, that there is an element of people can be certain, like the word infectious, maybe put me into a position where I might behave in a way that may not be socially accepted. Like we were talking about, you know, when I went to the church, it was like a little ounce of a smile. I got the attention to say, well, that's, you be careful there, because, you know, you're supposed to operate in a certain way. But generally, a lot of people are not happy. They're just pretending to be happy. And I have that ability to siphon that and not take advantage, you know, and just help ease people into a place of comfort. And then, but then I don't want people to be attached to me if it's too much. You know, the game is to give people the ability to be independent, not dependent. So yeah, and if I may quickly, so it's based on conditionality or unconditionality.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
again also a definition thing, because, you know, when your operating system, like you're saying, is focused on abundance, right? Can you ever lose by taking a risk?
Well, you can lose something. It doesn't mean you don't gain an equal balance, but you can lose money on taking a risk. You could lose.
What wouldn't, if you lose money and you're operating from your comfort zone, how would you define loss?
You don't care.
You don't care.
They
Yeah.
would just reappear again.
Yes,
Exactly.
you don't care.
You draw a learning.
Yes.
And this is when I looked at risk, because I don't actually understand risks. I don't understand the word. Because for me, everything is an opportunity.
But it's
So
fun with languages too. In Danish, you say, take a chance and run a risk.
Interesting. Run a risk, like running away from, right? If you have to. Is it connected to that?
No, løbe en risiko. I don't know. I'll Google it. I'll see where that comes from. I'll just Google it. But because løbe means run.
Yeah, but running in a sense of do the risk, you know, go through with it, take the risk in a sense,
I'll just
and run with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's interesting, because if you really, from that place of beingness, from that inner home, you know, from whatever really happens, whatever risk you think you're taking is just an opportunity you're choosing. And that's in the comfort, in the COM. Choose opportunity magic. It might not come out the way you think it will come out, but then again, from a comfort perspective, once you reached your level of comfort and you're in a beingness, then you're no longer attached to an outcome anyway. So what can you lose?
In Danish, it says that it's an action that doesn't lead to what you expect or what you wish.
Yeah, complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah.
Complete and utter nonsense. It's literally the opposite. And this is how the words have been bastardized over time. And they've taken on a certain energy. And you know what? We're all risk takers because we see opportunities. We are not afraid of going for them because we're not attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
But can you do that from a place of discomfort? No. You can only make conscious choices, take risks, see opportunities from a place of comfort where you know you are fortified. Your fortress of the I am avatar is absolutely stable. Whatever that opportunity that you've taken results into is neither
Yeah, it depends if it actually helps you to get out of your discomfort.
I'm gonna use the word chance instead of risk for a second, because it brings me into this energy of like the wheel of fortune from the tarot, right? And when you're taking a chance, which is to me the same as risk, you are spinning that wheel of fortune because you don't know necessarily what you're going to get, right? It's like you're throwing all the cards up in the air and saying, okay, I might not get what I think I want, but maybe I'm going to get what I need that's going to create an opening into my own comfort zone, right? Going to draw in, different energies that I'm not used to playing with into my sphere of reality, into my bubble of reality. I just keep thinking of that ABBA song. If you change your mind, I'm the first in line.
You got that in your repertoire?
Take a chance on
You're a
me.
dancing queen.
But don't you?
Yeah. But I
Don't
think
you
that's
also
taking
feel that when
a
you
chance,
take
it's taking a chance on ourselves, right? In a way. Like, okay, I'm going to trust in my operating system of abundance, my operating system of joy, and throwing those cards up in the air, throwing the dice up in the air to just like shake up that stagnancy. I mean, not that we're not having enough of that in the global narrative right now anyway, right?
Yeah.
Something universal about it too, isn't there, Tanya? Like shaking the dice or spinning the wheel, because you just don't know what the universe is going to throw up. So I think that that's the real exciting part of taking the chance or taking the risk. Because if you don't spin it or if you don't throw the dice, you're never going to be in that moment of, I could win everything or I might lose everything. But it's just that the excitement of that moment is almost breathtaking. And if you don't just do it, if you don't throw that dice, you'll never know.
But what if all that risk or chance is just the duality thing? And what if when we choose from the heart and the soul, I have noticed that when I follow my heart or my soul and just I don't evaluate, I just do it. But it's when the human comes in, we start like, okay, but what if, and da 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 da, then the words come up. But if you choose from like a heart pulling or a heart thing that is so strong that you cannot not follow it, you do. When I am in these choices, I don't evaluate anything. I just do it.
You said
But
something.
that's when there is no fear zone coming up. That's when I don't have the time to think, so to say. I sometimes have these callings, but there's no long-term risk or no whatever. It's when we are in these big things, then all of a sudden these connotation comes up, because there's something to lose or something to gain and something. It's all that, like the human part of how we navigate in this world.
Yeah.
So you
It's
said
exciting though.
you said something interesting here now, Annemette. Remember in the beginning when we were talking about, are you operating from a soul perspective or from a body human perspective, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like when the human comes in, well, you are the human. There is no soul projection. There is no soul expression without the human. There is no heart that you can follow. Its rhythm, timely is now the time, divinely. So this is where the comfort zone no longer makes a difference between this is the human and this is the soul. Because that froze us at that level of awareness, at that level of the game. We can no longer make a difference. And we can certainly not make the human less than the soul, because the soul without the human is nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that sometimes there comes a misalignment, because, I mean, look, we talk about left and the right side of the brain. We talk about the heart, right? The mammal brain that is connected to the mammal brain here. We talk about the gut. That is the reptilian brain that's connected up here. And then, of course, we talk about the neocortex, the higher brain. Now, all of that needs to work together in the decision-making process. There is no comfort zone if those three are not working together. So the human has to be acknowledged as the most important tool. It's a spiritual embodiment. And it's really, really, really coming to the forefront now that, you know, we have to acknowledge the human. The I am avatar is the human, boots on the ground. Who runs the show? You, the soul is obviously not in the body, it's projecting into this hologram. But you calling the shots and say, this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot. No, you go. Don't need you anymore. La, la, la. Because you are working against me. You are, you know, still full of judgment, this or that.
I actually wanted to give a return of what you said earlier.
Please do.
When you talked about your rebel, all the things the rebel got you through till you got it in your heart, the heart rebel. I was thinking about what is it that makes me not being in my comfort zone, and I was sitting with that, and something really, I won't say weird, came up, as if I'm afraid of somebody, as if I'm constantly with somebody who's trying to intimidate me, and it's not me, that I know, as if I have some kind of weird connection to someone or somewhere that I feel like is disturbing me all the time. That was really what came to me.
Yeah.
So I thank you for telling so much about your rebellion, because I don't know what you said else, but it really clicked with me.
Yeah, that's the journey of Chiron, the wounded healer. And remember, you are fortified in your comfort zone. You are the one calling the shots. Whoever, whatever is there that wants to take you out of your comfort zone, because now we've established that we're not needing to get out of the comfort zone. We just need to see the opportunities that some people would call risks or not. And we actually need to tell those that are not allowing us to fully embody, because this is the thing. When you have those shards, they kick you out of the body. They kick the soul out of the body. And then they come in and they think that they are the body, but they are not. So you do not allow anything to kick you out of the body, because this is where the true comfort zone is when you're fully, entirely embodied in your totality and you're calling the shots. Obviously from a place of spiritual understanding and awareness that you are just the, what do you call it, instrument, the one who does this.
Maestro.
Maestro, you know, who puts all the
Conductor.
conductor. And you got, but think of that. You are the conductor of your embodiment, this incarnation. And then you get over there somebody playing totally out of tune because they just want to put you off. What do? You allow it? You say, get the fuck out of my orchestra.
Yeah,
here.
but I think I have had that energy for so long.
Yeah.
That even when you say that right now, my inner child is like, oh, like as if little me, I don't know what age, is like, oh, surprised that I'm allowed to keep
not
that
surprised, darling.
energy out.
This little you needs to grow the fuck up.
Yeah, and
I'm using the F word for a specific reason. Because it is a very old
yeah, I
shot.
can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel it too.
But
it has no place.
And I think
life
it's because
anymore.
I had been so used to live with that I didn't know it was not me, kind of thing. So thank you for that.
But it's the wounded you that you have now a choice. You can heal it. You can, ask for its contribution if there still is a contribution. Or you can send it to the light so that it can actually start doing something different.
Oh yeah, I saw also when you talked about it a while ago, it was like a whole template imploding in on itself when I got it.
Yes. Work with that.
Okay.
That's part of the potentiality that needs to be acknowledged.
Exactly. It's like that energy is like constantly doing this, so I can't step into my full potential.
Yeah.
But I'm the one letting it doing, like when Mary first said, what do we allow in the comfort zone? That phrase really stayed.
That's what Mary said. What are you allowing into the comfort?
Yeah, she said that.
Absolutely.
I find that after doing, healing for the last 20, 25 years, that most of the time when I'm working with someone and they're not embodied, whether they're like popped out of their body or there's childhood trauma, 99% of the time, the individual is holding onto energies that aren't theirs. Whether it be global narrative expectations, parental expectations, with little kids, especially highly sensitive psychic people, they see, as that little 3-year-old, a little 4-year-old, whatever's going on in the family. The parents can't process the emotions. So what do? They dump it on the kids. And the kids they hold it, right? They think that this is how I'm going to be loved if I can process my parents' emotional energy. And they can't do it because it's not theirs to process, right? So that holds in the energy field, creating blocks in the chakra system, creating blockages to that little primal human, that 3-year-old, for example, who is just starting to get the sense of their expansive, multidimensional spiritual self. And then it's just like layered over with all kinds of emotional shit, right? And then that gets overwhelming. So then the little soul goes, boop, I'm out. It's too overwhelming. I can't be here. I can't be here in my body because I can't process all this energy that's not mine in the first place.
I remember I was such a space holder so that nobody would get in conflict. That was kind of my role. And my sister wrote me when I had left home to go do a pair girl in France. She wrote me, Mom and Dad are fighting verbally. They have never done that since you left. It's enough.
Yeah. So I invite you to look at the energy that's not yours in your body and return it all to center. or down to Mother Earth for transmutation, right? And
Return.
then, like, then you start to see what is really you.
Yeah, but I remember, I must have a lot of that, because I remember when I came here and I put things, I'm not organized. Everything is a mess. But when I came here, I remember putting things up. This goes here, this goes into the cupboard, and me inside panicking. Like, what would mom say? Like, and I'm like, what is your mom doing with you? You're 57, you're moving into a house, really?
Yeah.
So I think I have a lot of growing up to do. So.
It's a beautiful way of saying it. It's not nothing. It's just because it really triggers people.
Yeah.
But I know you can handle that. So, and I call that spiritual self-defense, what we're doing. And then we're going into procrastination. Either eject from the body, and then of course, you got a for rent sign on the body. Because if you're not in it, then it's like, okay, who else is out there who needs a body? Let me just have a little taste of Annemette or Sandrine or Martina, or anyone else here. It's that important why we doing sovereignty work, why we're learning about boundaries, versus barriers. Completely different thing about that. And that spiritual self-defense is a level of procrastination. And procrastination is again, is a word that has been so abused for financial gain. Because there's so many people out there, confidence, and you're a procrastinator, and this and that, and how much money can I make? How many sessions can I do with you? It's a fucking lie, procrastination. Yeah. There's a couple of questions you've got to ask yourself. Is now the time? Is the first one. Is now the time to stop this, to take my house, to take charge of my house? Is now the time? And not, like Tanya said, it's not always the time. That's why you got to ask the question. It might not be the time right now, but it might not you, obviously, but it might be the time tomorrow morning or after you had your coffee. Is now the time for me to step it up? Or the other question, of course, is what awareness am I not acknowledging? What potential within myself am I rejecting? And who told me? Who have I learned from that I'm not good enough? Who have I learned from that I'm not good enough? And can I now destroy and uncreate that? Send it back to sender with consciousness attached. It's not your shit. Who have I learned from that keeps me in perpetual judgment all the time?
Not the dog.
Yeah, and often this question we ask not for judgment purposes, but because there is an information that is missing. And we're not here to judge our parents or our grandparents or the 7 generations in the past, our ancestors for our shit. No, because we've been our ancestors.
We all do it. I'm sure I did it to my daughter too. We all do
Well,
it.
exactly. We do that too. But
Yeah.
this is obviously where the forgiveness journey comes in, or whatever else we are using in order to do our self-mastery. But what would it take to be in my comfort zone with ease? With total ease. Nothing to have, nothing to do, just be. And that space is you lying in nature. That's nature. That's your true nature that needs to be nurtured. Right? We got to nurture that true nature. Not blame it on genetics or DNA or, other people's stuff. We are here to nurture ourselves.
And what an opportunity.
What an opportunity. It's not a risk. It's an opportunity. And every little bit helps. Every
And
tiny
the
little.
more you do, the more is revealed of the truth of who you are. And then you have like moments of clarity and moments of aha, like more that cleared out, that's not us, that is not you, allows you to come deeper into your own awareness of what is you, which, you know, we've all agreed is a comfort zone in its own way. I think that, you know, more and more is evolving and opening up into like the truth of who we are as individual avatars, beings of light in these human bodies. I mean, I'm seeing more and more revealed to me, you know, over this year, that it's like, oh, wow, I guess I am doing that. I didn't realize or when to put it into those words, but wow, what a gift. Like, what a gift to have that awareness. But you can't have that awareness about how you're resonating with you and all those multidimensional parts of you if you have other people's energy in your body. So bye, Felicia. Get out. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah.
And this is what we are creating. This is what Aquarius is all about, creating a network of avatars, of ascended masters that are walking this earth. Or that ascended masters is probably a slightly far-fetched. Ascending masters walking this earth. And I think on that note, I want to open the stage for Barrett.
I was about to go because I
What?
have to take Katrina to the airport. Sorry.
Oh, so you didn't tell us that before, huh?
Didn't tell us that.
There'll
What are
be
you
many
doing?
occasions. There'll be many occasions, and thank you so
Okay,
much.
I was just gonna put you into
He'll
your
be
comfort
back.
zone. You'll be back. Okay, so performance, musical performance, we will have another time, next time. And we'll do it maybe in the beginning because, you know, okay.
Then we are
Anyway.
sure you won't escape to the airport.
Yeah, you should have told us that.
Oh, conveniently.
Oh,
It's
Barrett.
great.
No,
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. You're amazing beings of light.
and you can dance at my funeral anytime.
Which we will anyways, because we want to make sure that you're not coming back.
Everybody
I
has
mean-
to choose their second line song. My friend Cynthia's is Car Wash.
Okay, I'll think of something. Cheers, Barrett.
Bye.
Bye, Barrett.
Bye. Oh God. Okay. Well, no worries. Then let's see what else comes up. Oh, we haven't even spoken about choice. We haven't even spoken about choice because, you know, true conscious choice comes from the comfort zone, right? Are we still going or are we, because I'm just warming up now.
Yeah, I feel the choice thing is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a controlling choice and a conscious choice? If you have enough, then let's just say we call it quits and we close down.
I mean, I think a controlling choice is a decision you make based on a perception that's not necessarily yours. Like looking at the structure that's in the energy field that connects in the third eye, it almost looks like a jump rope, right? Connects to the global narrative and what the perception is about, like who you are as a human, who you are as someone's daughter, mother, lover, sister, brother, you know, who gave you those rules of perception, right? So that choice isn't really a choice when you're making it according to programming, as opposed to from that combined heart, mind, gut portal of the truth of who you are.
Wow. I get goosebumps on that one.
It's, you know, to me, like I see all of this deconstruction happening in our global narrative, right? I mean, you just have to turn on the news in the US to see all the crazy monkey business deconstruction of the political system and, you know, all different systems. You know, things are changing, right? That pulls us out of our comfort zone of expectation of where we're living and like who we are as a culture or society. That's changing, and everything is changing, always changing. So how, you know, how can we each make those individual choices with an awareness around that, and an awareness of connecting to that energetic space that holds space for that deconstruction in the first place? Because, you know, was it really all that good to begin with? I mean, who knows?
So
Everybody has that perception.
yeah, so what you're saying is, you know, choosing from a place of control is actually not a true choice. Choosing from a place of control is judgment, basically.
I think.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of fear.
Yeah. It's emotionally loaded in a way, trying to control the outcome. It's not a true choice. And that would probably be, if we have fear, if we have control, then we're not coming from our comfort zone, right?
But
Yeah, like thinking about that, like Anamete was saying, that little being within, I'm going to get in trouble for organizing my cabinet that way, right? But that true part of you made the choice to just boop, 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 put things where they were supposed to go. And then got second guessed by that little wounded child within who's holding the programming of what she's supposed to be doing. Right. So as these parts of us work like against each other,
yeah,
can like honor that little you and nurture her and hold her and tell her how much you love her, that it's okay. She can just go play. She doesn't have to follow, you know, her parents' rules.
yeah, but I feel sometimes that one is missing in me. That one that takes my little child as it's sometimes when I get too triggered, there's nobody. It just gets like into the, I don't know.
Maybe it's
Not
just
always.
the now you,
Yeah.
and
But
bringing that awareness. As you bring that awareness forward, you have more power in it, I think.
yeah. But for example, when I'm looking back at choices, last year there was a lady in a eco village. She looked for somebody to make a dome with her, like a geodesic dome. And I was so aligned with that choice. It was like I have rarely felt so aligned. And I was really going to meet a guy that was sowing seeds in a very particular way. We spent the whole weekend seeding. I didn't do the dome at all. I went off with him, what he was doing in the village. And that felt really good to go there. But now, for example, with Denmark, I moved back to Denmark. I don't feel like it's more like a body choice. It feels very aligned in the chakras, but I still don't know if it's a true choice or if it's parts of me that wants to go home for some constructed reason, because I feel as if the world is like falling apart. And since I don't have my comfort zone that I just found out in this call, that is very weak, then I'm like, okay, perhaps the part of me that wants to go back is the one that is looking for one. And since that's where I grew up, it feels more safe to be. I have really been trying to look at that this last week. But there is still as if it's not only about that. But I can't see clear yet. It's like things are overlapping the choice.
So what needs to be present for you in order to make a choice for your body?
What needs to be present?
What needs to be present for you for what needs to be present for you in order to choose your body?
My human part, I think.
Mm-hmm. Will you be able to provide that for your body?
Yeah, but my human part really wants to go to Denmark, really.
Good.
And
Is
I
there
don't know
anything that
why.
stops your human part? Is there anything that you stop your human part to do what the body requires?
Yes, I think what you told about the soul is giving instructions and what I thought was spiritual, I think it's about to crumble. Like, oh, I want to go to the Pyrenees because there's galactic things to integrate and I'm supposed to blah, 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 blah. And my whole body is like screaming, go back to your birth country.
How does it get better than that? Yes.
What?
I said, how does it get better than that? Yes.
But when I write on
And-
a paper, for
and-
example, I can write down on a paper, like do a drawing for the Pyrenees. It says, go for it. It's important that you go. I can write that down.
Yeah,
And I'm
these
like,
these are your little tricksters, darling. You know, you
yeah,
gotta
who is
you
talking?
exactly. Exactly.
I
So
mean, it's possible going home to Denmark will allow you to ground and return all the energies to the land there that you picked up as a little kid that are keeping you from being in your comfort zone, perhaps.
Yeah, I'll go up there in May, but I'm even asking myself because I was supposed to go down to the Dordogne and then round the Pyrenees and then up to Denmark. And I'm like, why do I do that detour? But my heart is like, it's not only a detour, it's like a closure thing. It's like I need to closure something off to get up there, kind of thing.
no, it's a spiritual self-defense.
Oh, you feel like going down there is
What
spiritual?
are you avoiding? What are you trying to avoid? That if you wouldn't avoid it, would help you to get closure much faster.
Oh, you're spot on now because I really feel like before COVID hit, I don't know why I was in France and I still remember that I was saying, "Oh, I want to go to Denmark. I'll go end of March. The weather will be better." Then my whole body was like, "No, you go now." And I was like, "Now?" Like, and then I booked a ticket for 2 weeks after. We only got home the day before every airplane was shut down. And I feel kind of the same. There's a kind of urgency, but I can't tell what the urgency is. But I
Well,
feel like before COVID that I just had
once
to go
you're there,
off.
you'll know. That's the choice. That's a conscious choice.
Yeah,
From a place of comfort, you can make a conscious choice because whatever choice you're making is not a risk you're taking. It's an opportunity for
yeah,
you to find that inner comfort zone that will help you to stop searching, that will help you to find your safe place that your body is requiring, is asking, is screaming, is begging you for.
yeah, exactly. But I feel that's back in my home country. It's not here.
Yeah.
There's something too about like when you talk about circumnavigating, going through les Pyrénées and les Alpes, there's something about collecting soul shards that you've left in those places that you can bring everything back
Yeah, I
to
got that I
Denmark and
need to
then be
go
grounded.
south
Yeah.
to collect 2 pieces. That I got 3 weeks ago. That I need to go down to collect and after go to Denmark.
And you know what? I mean, the thing is, once you're in Denmark and you do whatever you need to do there, then you just make another choice. It's not the end of the world. It's no point to collect stuff in a bag that has no that has holes in it.
What do you mean?
What do you call this thing in a bag that has no underneath?
No bottom.
No bottom.
Pulse right through.
Yeah, yeah, I got it, but I don't get it inside. I don't get it cellular level, on a cellular level.
Okay, so okay, let me rephrase it. So a choice is just a choice, and a choice creates awareness. All right. So as
Yeah.
soon as you make a choice that your body is obviously asking you to, it might even come on the airplane. You might not even have to touch the Danish soil in order to get the awareness why you're there.
Oh,
Just the choice. Your
to go
soul,
there.
your soul is asking you to make that choice, and your body is not just asking, is physically feeling, telling you to make
Yeah.
a choice. And that will create an awareness. And from that awareness, you can make more choices, because choice creates awareness, and awareness is change.
Yeah.
But the resistance of that choice is holding you on a plateau. The resistance is not allowing you to make change, because resistance does not allow the change to come forward.
That's true. Not comfortable to hear, but it's true.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you know, we're all there. We've all done it. We're
Yeah.
there all the time. You know what I mean? So it's information.
But what about these soul charts? Because I feel that I got that
Look,
message.
the soul shot, you know, you don't have to travel to the Pyrenees in order to acknowledge a soul shot. You might just be sitting on the bloody plane to Denmark next to somebody who's just been there, and you pick it up from there. Hello?
Yeah, that's true.
Or at the airport. What great place to be to pick up soul shots at the airport, right? You don't even have to do anything. You just go through. It's like flop, 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 flop. But the main thing is there has to be a bottom underneath that container, that vessel of yours, to
Yeah.
hold it, to feel comfortable enough to absorb, to integrate, to acknowledge, to be grateful for, and to drop the ones that need to get out of the way so that you can actually bring all the others in. There's a reason why we're born in a certain place. And as long as we haven't completed, it's you know, you could say the body or you, it's not even about you. Think of the level of psychicness. Maybe it's the country calling you back.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
Well, here you go. Then do it for the country. If you don't
I
yourself,
actually heard today, but I'm a little skeptical with the voices I hear. But when I was out hiking, I was like, Denmark is your ascension point. That's where I can ascend from, but I'm not ascending like up, but like in my body, in.
Okay, well, here you go. You know it all, woman.
Yeah.
You know it all. Now you just have to choose it.
Yeah. I kind of already have, but I haven't realized yet. So I think I need a little.
Choice comes and action concretes the choice. This is where, unfortunately,
but it's 32 years
action has its place.
32 years that I have been down here, and now I'm going back. It's like a little overwhelming, though.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have chosen that exactly scenario if you couldn't handle it.
No, that's true. I know I can handle it because I feel really happy about it.
Of course, yeah.
There's so much magic right now to reconnect with our birthplaces.
And you're not the only one that is being called back. Lots of people are called back now for whatever reason, in whatever form that represents itself. Yeah. Yeah. I've done this journey back to Austria, as I said the other day, since I've been gone for 35 years now. I've done it piecemeal by piecemeal, going back. And I still go back, but now it's probably from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, I have been going back a lot too, but these last 2 years I have really been going back a lot.
So yeah, fantastic! So exciting. Comfort.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel I have in Denmark. Comfort.
Yes, and then you take it from there. Like, what did Mary say? You take that inner comfort zone and you allow in whatever works for you, and you don't allow in the rest. And then we live in a participatory universe, as we know. It's like with our boundaries, we can expand them, we can contract them, we can expand them, we can contract them, just like what the heart's doing, right? In and out, inhale, exhale, finding that shunya point in between all the time. All right, my babies, my schnuckies.
So what do you other persons think about choices?
Oh, choices. Are we not done? Are we cooked?
Oh, sorry, but
I'm done. I gotta go. But
No, it's two. We've done 2
no,
hours.
it was
so
just because there were two that didn't answer that I said that.
You want to answer something? By all means, do if you have some. No, Tanya said, Sandrine, you want to say something to choices, Jen?
No, I mean, we touched on the subject, and we're pretty aligned on that.
Jen, you?
I might have used different words, but I think Tanya
Yeah.
said it perfectly. So I don't have anything that wouldn't go aligned with what Tanya said. One thing that you did say though that has sat with me is the body, and I'm paraphrasing, this isn't how you said it, but it's how I saw it. Like the spirit doesn't really hold in this realm without the body, but the body can hold without the spirit, right? I mean, the parasympathetic will run us all day long until the body's ready to run out, till the batteries die. So that has sat with me for a minute, that like the physical body is like, it's the vehicle in this realm. We know that. And so aligning ourselves and making sure that we are in alignment with our body, in balance and harmony, like, that is sovereignty. And anchoring in what the spirit wants and what the body needs, and marching forward with that. Like, that aligned something for me today for me to look at.
Yeah. And that's called being an intelligent human being, because intelligence means knowingness, wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, none of this is mystical. None of that is, out fantastical or anything like that. It's just information, and because of the bastardization of certain information, we have to just reframe it a couple of times, put it into different concepts and things like that, like we do all the time. And all of a sudden things just fall into place, And I wouldn't say I mean, the body can get away with staying alive with a fraction of the soul. The soul leaves completely, of course, we're dying, but the fraction. And you know how many zombies are walking around?
Yeah.
And I'm not excluding myself from that, because I wasn't always aware the way I am now. And it's so easy for us, especially the people on here, to live from a soul perspective, because it's so much easier. It's so much more expansive. When I first, and I think I said that before years ago when we talked about it, when I first went to a craniosacral or something, and I was lying on it because I had back pain, and he said to me, can you please come into the body? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a yoga teacher. I say this on a daily basis. Now we're grounding ourselves, coming into the body. And he says, no, you're not. I'm like, what the hell? What does that even mean? It took me 3 sessions to really, for him, no, you're not in your body. You're not in your body. I'm like, stop talking shit. I'm totally there. No, because I didn't even know. I felt so comfortable being outside of the body.
Exactly. That's what I have been through.
Yeah.
And now it's like you are getting back in there, or you will be ejected from Earth.
Remember that what you said early on. If you're not in the body, you've got this for rent sign on it. For rent. And there's so many beings out there. It doesn't have to be your soul shots. Yeah.
Oh, you said for rent. I didn't get that. Oh
Rent.
man, I'll
It's
have to
like
remember
walking
that.
around like a for rent. Hey, here's an empty B&B. Come.
But it's in for free, so
nature
aware of that
abhors
too.
a vacuum for sure.
But
If
what
you're
I
not
also
there,
find
something else comes in.
Sorry, Tanya.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry.
I got an idea. No, not an idea, but it's like these people that are very spiritual that I have been following. As soon as you ask concrete questions, like, okay, they travel around, but I would like to know, how do you pay your taxes? What, they're just traveling around. So what are you going to do the day if you feel ill, if you don't have an insurance, you can have an accident. It's just as if that material aspect, I feel like a lot of people are like avoiding it. And I have been going so much into these spiritual people talking.
Yeah.
But like, hey, houses cost money and da 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 da. You can't deny that at the moment. And I have been like feeling like I'm being caught back into awareness of all that. How do I navigate? How do I embody that aspect too? Like,
yes, it's that's the old Piscean age. Yeah, it's very much like Buddhism, like, okay, getting out of your body. That's nirvana, you know, that kind of thing. Now we're coming into the Aquarian age, which is very different. Embodied spirituality. It's no longer like Sandrine said, sitting up on the mountaintop, you know, having nothing. Look, we've done this. I don't know how many bloody lifetimes I've had living in communes and being, you know, part of all these different religions, whatever they were. I've done it all. We've done it all. But this is not what we've come here for. We've come here to really start understanding what spirituality actually means, what comfort zone means. And if we still have an issue rejecting comfort, then we're rejecting our bodies. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah.
Because your body is made out of flesh and blood, and yes, it's multidimensional, and yes, it's connected to your soul, and yes, and that, and that, and that. But without looking after it, without making sure that we are safe, secure, we have food to eat, we have a warm to put, you know, place to put our asses on and sleep, how can you make conscious, sacred, neutral choices when you're not in a place and still lacking security, still lacking the basics?
yeah, that's what I experienced when I came here. It was so cold. It was freaking 10 degrees in the morning downstairs.
Yes.
And even with the fireplace, it went up 1 degree per hour. From 10 to 18, it took me till the night. Like, really? And then next morning it was all over again.
Good. So maybe it's time to stop choosing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I mean, there are people out there who, you know, choosing it on a different level, and, you know, we can't really say that they're choosing it, but at the end of the day, they're choosing it because it's just an experience the soul needs to go through. And frankly, if you want to keep choosing it, you keep choosing it, if that's what you think that your
But it
soul
looked so great. There
needs.
was a fireplace. I asked if there was another heating. She said, yeah, there's electrical heating. And I thought, easy peasy. That sounds good. It wasn't.
Bit like, you know, when I used to get treatments from other people when I did swaps, and I was lying on the couch and they started working on me and my body started feeling really heavy and in pain, because what my body does, it takes it on and it starts healing the healer. And I just kept on lying there, not saying anything.
I have had that
Do
too.
that too. Yeah. But I'm no longer doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's a choice. It was a choice then, and I'm making different choices now. And I'm not poo-pooing the choice that I made then, because I needed to make them so that I know I don't have to make them anymore. And this is what this lovely thing is all about, you know? And, you know, the service that I did give to these healers was amazing, because they felt great. I felt like shit. It's the same what you're doing in this house. House is getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, and you're walking out crawling on the floor.
Exactly.
What you're doing. And that's exactly what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, why am I in such pain? Until I realized, oh God, stop swapping. Again, I wasn't listening to my body, okay? Because from a soul perspective, Jesus is not a problem for me, right? But that's where the arrogance of the soul comes in at times, to be honest. And that's something we all need to drive home.
Yeah, or the sacrifice thing.
Potent souls, old souls, they sometimes can be arrogant. In total unawareness, Do I really want to say I've got an arrogant soul? No, but it's a perfect way of saying it because it really triggers and drives the point home.
My arrogant old soul says that I have a headache and I'm hungry, and that's now my choice that I'm leaving you here.
No, we're all
Love
leaving.
talking to you guys.
All leaving.
I think we're all groggy.
It's gonna give you all a big hug and a kiss.
Big
and,
up,
you know, how
guys.
much I
Great session.
enjoy
We
you.
do it again.
Thank
These were
you.
like 6 eye
Bye.
openings in 2 hours.
She's
Put it all-
exhausted.
we put the world to right. Cheers, guys. Love you.